In the frozen north of Sweden, just below the Arctic Circle, lies a monument to European ambition. It is a factory larger than the Pentagon. It consumed $15 billion of investment. It was backed by Volkswagen, Goldman Sachs, and the European Union itself. Northvolt was not just a company, it was a geopolitical weapon. It was Europe's only hope to stop China from owning the future of energy. But in 2024, the lights flickered, the production lines stopped, and the weapon jammed. How does a company with unlimited money, the best engineers from Tesla, and customers lining up to buy its product go bankrupt? The answer isn't just bad luck. It involves deadly factory accidents, a canceled $2 billion contract, and a manufacturing hell that no one saw coming. This is the autopsy of Northvolt. To understand the fall, we must understand the rise. The year is 2016. Peter Carlson, a former logistics chief at Tesla, leaves Elon Musk's side with a bold idea. He realizes that while Tesla is building cars, the real power lies in the battery cells. At the time, 80% of the world's batteries were made in Asia, China, South Korea, and Japan. Europe made zero. Carlson pitched a vision, the greenest battery on Earth. Recycled materials, powered by cheap Swedish hydroelectricity. It was an irresistible pitch. On paper, the plan was genius. They chose Skellefteå, a small mining town. Why? Because the electricity there is virtually free and 100% renewable thanks to hydropower. Investors went insane. Volkswagen threw in billions. BMW signed a long-term deal. Volvo created a joint venture. Northvolt raised more money than any startup in European history. They weren't just building a factory. They were building a city. They hired thousands of people from 80 different countries, moving them to a town that experiences near total darkness in winter. But scaling a startup in a PowerPoint presentation is easy. Scaling one in the sub-zero temperatures of the Arctic is a nightmare. As construction began, costs spiraled. The logic of green steel and green concrete meant everything was slower and more expensive to build. But the cash was flowing, so nobody asked questions, until the machines tried to start. This is the technical part that killed them. In the battery business, yield rate is God. If you spend money to make 100 batteries, but 50 of them are defective, you are burning cash. Top Chinese manufacturers like CATL run at 95% yield. Northvolt? Rumors in 2023 suggested their yield rates at the ET factory were shockingly low, sometimes below 50%. They were trying to scale too fast. They were trying to innovate the chemistry of the battery at the same time they were trying to learn how to manufacture it. It's like trying to invent a new recipe for cake while simultaneously trying to open a bakery franchise. Machines broke down. The complex cathode material mixing process, which is like baking a souffle on an industrial scale, kept failing. The waste was piling up. And then things turned dark. Reports began to leak about safety standards. In a rush to meet impossible quotas, corners were allegedly cut. There were accidents. Tragic deaths occurred at the site, raising questions about whether the Greenest Battery was coming at a human cost. The Swedish police opened investigations. The morale inside the Arctic fortress plummeted. June 2024, the moment the music stopped. Northvolt had a contract with BMW worth $2.3 billion. It was their safety net. But BMW had been waiting and waiting. Northvolt was 2 years behind schedule on deliveries. BMW couldn't wait anymore. They needed batteries for their EVs now. So, in a move that sent shockwaves through the industry, BMW canceled the contract. And who did they give the money to? Samsung SDI, an Asian competitor. The irony was brutal. The company designed to save Europe from Asian dominance lost its biggest contract to Asia because it couldn't deliver. This was the death blow. When you lose a $2 billion backlog, lenders panic. Northvolt was suddenly toxic. They tried to raise more money to plug the hole, but interest rates were high and the EV market was cooling down. The green premium was gone. Investors wanted profits, not promises. The unraveling was fast. September 2024, Northvolt announces massive layoffs. 1,600 people, 20% of their global workforce fired. They suspended the expansion of the factory. They paused plans for a new factory in Germany. They paused plans for Canada. The empire was shrinking back to survival mode. Peter Carlson, the visionary, looked tired in interviews. The narrative shifted from Europe's Tesla to Europe's Theranos. Perhaps unfair, as the product was real, but the business model was broken. When Northvolt filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, it wasn't just a business failure. It was a failure of European industrial policy. Europe poured billions into subsidies, but they forgot that subsidies cannot fix yield rates. You can't legislate competence in manufacturing. Now Europe is left vulnerable. The German car industry, Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, is now almost entirely dependent on China for the most expensive part of their cars. Northvolt may survive the bankruptcy process. They might emerge smaller, leaner, and more focused. But the dream of a dominant, independent European battery giant is dead. The Northvolt crisis teaches us a brutal lesson. In the world of hardware, money is not enough. Good intentions are not enough. If you cannot build the thing, you do not have a business. The future is electric, but for now, that future is being built in China, not Sweden. If you want to understand how China quietly took over the entire electric vehicle supply chain while Europe was sleeping, watch this video here. And don't forget to subscribe.